Welcome to A Global Indy. I'm Jane Gelhausen, Director of International and Cultural Affairs for the City of Indianapolis. Mayor Ballard is passionate about making Indy a welcoming and inclusive city that is recognized worldwide. This Global Indy segment is designed to highlight Indy's international initiatives. Today we are featuring international arts in Indianapolis. With me is Gary Giesling, CEO of the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra, and Glenn Kwok, Executive Director of the International Violin Competition of Indianapolis. Welcome.
Thank you.
Gary, let's start off with you. The symphony is a real jewel in our city. Some may not know how world-class our symphony is. So can you tell us about its international composition and reach?
I think the first thing to note is that the ISO really is an orchestra that attracts musicians from all over the world. We have about 75 full-time musicians, and they really do come from all over the world. We have musicians from Japan, China, Taiwan, Russia, Ukraine, the Czech Republic, Romania, really all over the globe. And they come here to Indianapolis to come together on our stage and produce the great concerts that they produce every week. In addition, our music director, Krzysztof Urbanski, comes from Poland and has an international conducting career. So he conducts around the world and really sort of carries the name of Indianapolis wherever he goes. He just conducted the world-renowned Berlin Philharmonic and brought some additional acclaim to Indianapolis through that engagement as well.
Great. And so why do you feel like this is essential for the symphony to have this international connection?
You know, I think one of the great things about music is it's always said that music is the universal language, and I think when you bring folks from so many different parts of the world together onto our stage to come together and yet come together to bring these great works of art to life week in and week out, you really get that global perspective in a way that I think sort of symbolizes everything that we talk about in the world right now about globalism, which is, I think, so exciting for the arts.
Yeah, great. I totally agree. Glenn, the International Violin Competition of Indianapolis is often known and referred to as the Olympics of the violin. When and how did the competition get its start?
We approached the legendary violinist and professor Joseph Gingold, who was a distinguished professor at Indiana University in 1980, and we asked him if he would help us create an international competition on the level of those that had existed in Europe for already 3 decades, such as the Queen Elizabeth competition in Brussels, the Tchaikovsky competition in Moscow, and the Sibelius competition in Helsinki. And because he had served on the juries of all those competitions, he was ecstatic that America, for the first time, would have a competition like that. So 2 years later, in 1982, we launched our first competition, and we've held a competition every 4 years since then. And so today, fast forwarding after 30 plus years, it's become one of the most prominent competitions in the world.
Right, well, you mentioned that it occurs every 4 years, and you really talked about the international scale of the competition. Is there anything else you'd like to add about the international side of the competition?
Sure. We just finished screening 179 violinists representing 31 nations, and after watching their DVDs and screening all the tapes, we narrowed that down until 40 violinists from 12 countries who will come to Indianapolis for the 17 days to compete for over $250,000 in prizes and awards. So really there is a global reach not only in the participants, but people watching it will be watching the live streaming, which will occur for 17 days.
Wonderful. I've been to both your events and your performances, and you really both are jewels in our city in terms of what you provide on the cultural front. Every aspect of our community actually is very international, including the arts. So what do you feel like the greatest value is or impact that this has in terms of our community? And why do you think it's important to the future of Indianapolis to be very international?
I think from the ISO's perspective, as I said, we do bring together musicians from all over the world, and one of the unique things about an orchestra is that we do employ so many full-time artists in our community. So as I said, 75 musicians who come here and live here, and they don't only play at the Hilbert Circle Theater every week as part of the ISO, but they live in our communities, they teach, they will send their kids to our schools, and they sort of add a global perspective and really sort of enhance the richness of our communities in where they live and work.
As Indianapolis is striving to become a more global city, it's important that in order to attract people to live here, we do have this complexion of a global aspect in each of the sectors of the society. And so we're pleased to be able to play an important role in the arts and really making it very high profile so that people want to come live here and enjoy all that Indianapolis has to offer.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming in today, and really thank you so much for your leadership that you do in our community to showcase arts in Indianapolis.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
So thank you for joining us for this segment of Global Indy. Indy is global diversity touches all aspects of life. We engage with the world through business, arts, sports, international students, our food, festivals, and more. To learn how you can be part of Indy's global community, sign up for our newsletter at indy.gov, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time.